coronavirus. There's a chance it's being used to start World War III. How is this possible? Think back to 9/11. If you already know, 9/11 was set up, completely set up. It was set up to go to war in the Middle East. There was 3 towers that were bombed from the bottom floor. They were bombed because airplanes do not have enough strength to take down a tower, especially hitting it from that high up. We all know this. Pretty clear, there was 3 bombs, there's video footage of it, but the coronavirus, it's killing people, it's devastating the country, clearly starting to show the incompetence of communism and the Chinese leaders, Jinping. What is the plan if this is a theoretical proposal is true? Well, the people of China have begun to awaken.
武汉这个事情，武汉这个瘟疫，都是有计谋、有计划发出来这个瘟疫，因为是政党里面你搞我，我搞我的事情，牺牲的是我们平民老百姓，我的家人，我的父母在家等死，没有人关心我们平民老百姓的性命，有钱也买不到药，有钱也买不到病房。然后香港同胞，你们独立我支持，台湾独立我也支持，西藏、香港独立都支持，摆脱共产党的邪恶手爪，腐败的政权，邪恶的社会，没有一个人可以自由发声，没有一个人，只有一个人自由发声，就去警察局喝茶、拘留、判刑，法律是他们判的，不是我们来说的。他们能说判几多年就能判几多年，律师都没有用的，有一个正义的律师都会关起来，他不会为正正而说话，因为他们有邪恶的政权压迫下不能正的说话。我要告诉你们，一个人牺牲，2个人牺牲，革命肯定是有血有肉来牺牲。我想站出来，我暴露出来，我就要站出来，我就要牺牲，为我的父母，为我的家人，为我以后的后代可以自由的生活。我发声，我也很危险，我也知道，但是我已经受不了了。满院子的人在医院里面，没有病床，没有医药， CCTV 讲的那个新闻全部都是假的，全部。他们的吼声，他们的叫声我看到了，我要发声，我要为我自己发声，我要为我武汉的人民发声，我要为中国同胞发声。
To the truth of communism and the rule they flipped under for so long. They are starting to wake up. Soon enough, they are going to see Hong Kong doing what they've been doing, protesting. They may get more radical because they're already under communism. Hong Kong's just fighting to keep their peace, their little democracy, I guess, their free market society. China, however, the people of China are already under communist rule. The only way they can respond is with rebellion. But for that to be possible or to even happen, everybody would have to rebel. And that would mean everybody would have to start speaking up and not getting silenced because one person or 2 people spoke up and they suddenly got killed a few days later, so everybody would have to start speaking up. They have been trying to deliberately silence people. That is what they've been trying to do, so they can keep their narrative that the coronavirus isn't hurting people. They can keep the narrative that it isn't killing people, that it isn't deadly. The people of China are already aware that it is extremely deadly and Jinping doesn't have any control of it at all. The communist leaders are incompetent. And they themselves know this, they just don't want to admit it. And they don't want the rest of the world or the rest of the people knowing that. So, what will happen? What is the plan of the 6, of the 13? What is the plan of the Zionist leaders of Israel? What is their plan in particular? The theory here, right now, is that the mainstream media here in the US, the plan is that they are to purposely make themselves look like fools, make themselves look like idiots, make the left, the puppets of America, turn towards the right. Why? Because they were once puppets all that will be left is the holes where the strings were tied. So once they go to the right, all the Zionists would have to do, and the corrupt elites have to do, is reattach the strings of the red of the Republicans, because by that time the strings of blue will be detached. So what will happen then? Pretty simple. The Zionists and the corrupt elites will have full control over both the mainstream media and the independent media. And who am I talking about? If you're a smart intellectual, you will already know who I'm talking about. Alex Jones, Band.video, InfoWars. They are among the biggest independent news media resource that I would say over 1 million people use in America alone, or just around the world. It is pretty clear that Alex Jones is under Zionist rule, or he is at least blackmailed or controlled by them. Do I have any proof of that? It's pretty fucking simple proof. It's just compare and contrast after I mention this first fact. But he is married to a woman. This woman happens to be Jewish. He has a child with that woman. Now he has 2 people to protect. And, well, that's a perfect start for blackmail. Secondly, when he said he would be wiped by Google, YouTube, Facebook, all those elites, when he said he would be wiped by them, he got wiped. So it only pushed the belief of that more. So what happened after that? He got more viewers. He became an independent media source online. He has websites online where he speaks what he says is true, his truth. So what is the plan after this? Pretty simple. They're going to take the new created Republican puppets and start using them to slowly start corrupting the Republican Party. Because currently, the Republican Party is pretty fucking free. Trump gets blackmailed every now and again to do things like the Middle East plan, but other than that, he's a free man. Now, what about the coronavirus? If Alex Jones becomes the trusted media source within the next few months, within the year, then he will be able to, 1, fearmonger, which he's already been doing for well over a month since the virus has been out and about. I've actually almost completely stopped watching InfoWars or Band.video because of that. He has been fear-mongering so goddamn much, it honestly annoys me. And Mike Adams as well. So if you guys are hearing this, you guys drove me away. You guys, I watch you guys despite what I know, because you guys bring news that I can expand on, so I still follow it. Anyway, moving on. What would be the plan after this? It's quite simple. At this point, if Trump is able to listen to them, to Alex, or if he gets blackmailed into it, World War III will begin in China. Because let's say we're talking 6 months ahead into the future. By this time, so roughly around August, July, the people of China will be rebelling. And maybe some of Chinese military will rebel as well. Because this will, by this time, undoubtedly have affected the whole country. So the Chinese will rebel. What will they do then? Well, they will rebel. And they will want democracy, because they will see what we have here in America. We have a democracy, so-called land of the free, so-called a place for freedom of speech, a place that is not controlled by any tyrants. That is what America is believed to be. So, naturally, they will want that, because they have been under communist rule from the very beginning, and communism has simply never worked. Socialism has never worked. China is falling apart, and the people of China are starting to wake up to this. So, what will happen then? They will start to rebel. Let's say about 40% of Chinese military decides to join in with the Chinese rebellion. Well, by that time, they will be able to make up multiple reasons for, here in America, the media, mainstream and Alex at this point, they will be able to make up multiple reasons for America to get involved. What will happen then? America will start to invade China. Now, why is this so bad? Why is this so important? Well, you gotta keep thinking about this. What are we currently speaking about right now? Why are we quarantining anybody coming in from China right now? Because they have the coronavirus, and they're also unhealthy. Anyway, let me keep going with what I was looking at. They're going to come up with multiple reasons to go to war with China. This will become an opinion that is cited by both Democrats and Republicans, left or right. Both sides will agree to go to war with China and support the rebellion. Undoubtedly, Hong Kong will also probably join in and finally get some media traction, because the mainstream media has not been talking about Hong Kong at all. Notice, Hong Kong continues to protest and they have not stopped. So from here, they will convince Trump. They will either blackmail him into doing it, or public opinion will push him to do this. By this time, there will be full control over the masses. Well, what happened then? By then, Trump will have no choice. If he is reelected, obviously, he will have no choice. He will go to war with China. He will send military troops there, and it's a simple takeover there. From here, we're just thinking about basic history. We have yet to leave the Middle East. That's a perfect spot to attack China directly. If we're attacking China from the east and from the west, because we do have Japan will probably be on our side, we can knock out China in a heartbeat. And if NATO doesn't get involved, or Russia, America can simply, if they want to, can simply sweep up North Korea, okay? Because when you have the people of China, the citizens of China rebelling, there's no need for nukes. There's no need for that. All you need is a couple of strikes, missile strikes, a couple of tanks, regular military weaponry, soldiers, tanks, all of that. And I'm pretty sure Trump will do this because I'm pretty sure he will go along with this, because think about it real quick. Why hasn't he talked about the coronavirus at all? The last time he talked about the coronavirus, it was when Sean Hannity asked him directly about it. So, he has ordered some investigation to find out if the coronavirus is a bioweapon, which we already know it is. That's just to make whoever reads those articles feel safe. Trump is not talking about the coronavirus because the economy currently over here in America is a bubble. It is supported by working class American people. If suddenly the working class of America decided to stop working because they were fearful of the coronavirus, then the economy would drop. It would be a bubble that just got popped. Granted, they come back the next day, it's going back up. But again, it's a bubble. It can get popped at any time. All it takes is fear or anger from the people, a strike or fear, a natural response to want to stay alive. Either way, Trump will have to do this. If this is the case, he will be trapped into doing this. There is no way out. If the media and public opinion and the people who are trying to control you are all telling you the same thing, you will end up doing it. It'll just at that point be complete pure pressure. Whether he knows he is right to do it or not, he will just be pure pressure to do into what they want. It's a simple plan, and it's a very well thought out one, to say the least. Anyway, I'm thinking World War III was sparked because of this. Now, when we're talking about World War III, are we really talking about World War III? Are we talking about the World War III where Israel will get exposed and Christians, Muslims, all religions will finally rebel against Israel and the corruption that has been ensued and enforced by them since the very beginning, along with the Freemasons? Will the Freemasons and Israel finally fall? Is that the World War III I'm talking about? No, that is the end of World War III. The beginning of World War III starts with us, the Americans, invading China, our opinion being swayed either by morality through the media or by Israel blackmailing Trump. We should leave them alone. If anybody sees this, do not advocate for us to go invade China. Please, just say no. When the rebellion of the French finally happened and they rebelled against Louis XVI, they were fine. They managed to take down their incompetent leader and claim democracy, their own version of it, and they're fine. The same will happen with the Chinese people whether America invades or not. America should stay nationalist and keep staying independent. It should not be invading anymore. Even though I say this video will get shadow banned, shadow blocked, this audio more specifically, and it won't reach many voices, but I do hope it'll reach voices. If it is true, I hope this will reach many voices in the future. Maybe even in the history books. I could really care less. But it's quite simple what they're trying to do here, and I can see it now. I just wish I saw this back in November when the coronavirus was first starting to leak out. Now, what will Israel's plan be before the end of World War III? Quite simple. The leaders, the Zionist leaders, the Freemasons, the 6th, the 13th, they will all run. They're all going to run into China because by this time we will be out of China. By this time we'll probably be going to war with Russia or some other country in the Middle East. It's a perfect cover during the storming of China, during the Americans storming China, for the Israelis to run into China, to hide in there. It would be perfect. It would be absolutely perfect because American soldiers will be on the soil. And like I said, if my predictions are correct, roughly 40% of Chinese soldiers will rebel with the people of China. They're under the protection of so much with very little to risk. In the midst of all the anarchy and the war ensuing, they will be able to hide somewhere underground. And if you don't believe me about underground, a couple decades ago, a CIA file got released of a project where the CIA managed to get into Russia by simply digging underground, the Iron Curtain. Well, Russia never found out until a few years later, but that was because that was just an underground tunnel that they had been using for a while, and they never realized that it was the Americans that dug it. So, what makes it any harder to believe that Israel or the Zionist leaders or the 6th, 13th could simply walk into China and stay in China, because by the time World War III reaches its climax, the middle of World War III happens, they will already be hidden in China, and China will already be done and over with. People will already be claiming their democracy and setting up their democracy up while anarchy around the Middle East ensues. This is very easy to picture once you start to see it. This also explains why Alex Jones, InfoWars, The Truth Factory, why they've never been banned, because they hardly ever talk about Israel. The only time they talk about Israel is when Israel somehow ends up in the mainstream media, like the Middle East plan agreement that Trump tried to pull. That's the only time Israel has ever ended up in the media, and the only time they will ever talk about it. The Truth Factory, I noticed I watched her videos a lot, and not to bash you, good old Truth Kitty, but you've never talked about Israel. You've hardly ever talked about Israel in any of your videos, and no blame or investigation was shifted towards them. So that leads me to believe that you're not going to talk about them. Why? Pretty simple. If she doesn't talk about them, she won't get banned. If you talk about the Israelis on YouTube, anywhere really, your video will more than likely get shadow blocked, shadow banned, depending on the information you're speaking or leaking. So my stuff will get shadow banned. My stuff has already been shadow banned. Everything I've uploaded relating to Moncloe's Nation has been shadow banned or shadow blocked. It's very hard to find my stuff. You have to get a direct link from somebody now to find my stuff. So anyway, they won't be banned because they're being smart about it. I'm talking about the straight up truth here. This ain't no conspiracy, folks. And if you ask me, I'm pretty fucking sure America was behind the coronavirus leak. I actually don't think it was the lab. Think about it for a moment. A few months ago, if I find it up, I'll put it up right now. But a few months ago, there was a military sports event in China, held in Wuhan, China, and countries from all over the world were there. I think there was roughly around 300 military US soldiers. There were definitely CIA operatives in there, going in there too. It's a perfect time and place to go ahead and plant the coronavirus on somebody. Perfect. And it also helps hide who or which country was behind the coronavirus being planted into China. So as long as they were careful those days, the communist leaders of China, or Jinping, does not know which country it was at all. But I get a feeling he already knows. I think he knows he's in a trap. I think he knows that he has to save his people and stop his people from rebelling against him. I think he knows, but I think he is just overwhelmed right now. Think about it from his perspective. He is in a position where he not only has to find a cure for his people, but he also has to prepare for a possible third world war starting at his home base. Being prepared for something like that, travesty is about to happen like that, and one already taking place. I could imagine how overwhelmed he must feel. He feels probably very overwhelmed because he's about to lose not only his position of power, but he's about to lose complete control he's had for decades. I think this is the beginning, simply the beginning of Israel's plan to take over not only America, but the world. If you know by now, Israel created ISIS. They are behind ISIS. ISIS is a group created by Israel, or the Zionist elite. It's a very simple plan that they've been going by. ISIS has been destroying ancient monuments of religious value or history in general. They have been erasing the physical proven history of other religions in Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, etc. That is their plan. They're trying to leave only their religion alive. Maybe Christianity, because the Bible is a great way to control people. It's caused many crusades and wars, and they can utilize that to their advantage perfectly. So I believe the Bible will be left alone. But for the other religions around the world, they're probably at risk, especially religions like the peaceful religions, the ones who choose not to seek war, who choose to seek peace. We are seeing the beginning of the end, the beginning of the official underground world war, and we are seeing the end of communism all at the same time. Now, think about it from this perspective as well about China. We all know that China is littered with 5G, as the company that created 5G is inside of Israel and is from Israel. So they supplied China with 5G. Granted, they could have given them 6G, an even more deadly version of 5G, not only awakening the immune system of the Chinese people by probably 10-20 folds, but making them very ill with radiation. And if you don't know, the flu is radiation. Ironically, the flu and pneumonia seem to be the consistent or symptoms of the coronavirus found inside of every patient. What does this mean? This means that Israel has begun an inside assault into China before the coronavirus. First, they planted their so-called 5G into China, the radiation that they can control and probably raise it up to 95 gigahertz instead of 90. So they're irradiating everybody at the highest extent possible. And not only that, they implemented a virus, a bioweapon in there. Just imagine the turmoil, the death, the suffering that is happening in China right now, while those Zionist leaders are laughing in the background, seeing that their plan is going into fruition and it is succeeding with almost no possible chance of fail. The only reason why I have the balls to talk about this right now is because I know that it is already too late. This plan is already too far in to stop. So if this video doesn't get blacklisted all over the internet, then that only proves that it is too late for me or for anyone to stop this. This plan has already been set in motion and has been put and set up for a long time now. Why do you think they seized Tesla's files right when he died? The same day he died or night. If I sound pessimistic, I'm just trying to stay true here, not just to myself but to you. If these plans are true, then the tables of Israel going down were once 50-50, but if this plan is true and this plan is already going into fruition like I think it is, then Israel is winning and our chances of winning back our democracy and our nationalism, our patriotism is falling by 1% every day. It's a very rough time we're looking at right now, people. But anyway, China. I want to talk about China a little bit more. If we start taking in Chinese refugees within the next 6 months, and our soldiers go into there, our soldiers could maybe be infected or die, crippling our soldiers even more. Israel will still have nukes. They could cripple our US soldiers and then proceed to disobey NATO's call for no nuclear war and drop whatever nukes they have gathered over the decades. There's a lot of cards they can play here. You just have to keep thinking of what they do and don't have. Once you do that, you can really start to see what they can do. And that's what I'm constantly thinking of currently. It's very hard to think of a plan to counteract because, to be frank with you, the plans that they have, if I'm correct, they have complete control over, and it's going to be very hard to counteract them, and you don't even know where to start. That's the hard part. The American people could rebel. There's 48% independence that doesn't vote. I'm pretty sure they don't trust the government, maybe we could rebel, we could do something about this, but as it stands, I don't know. Israel has played kings, queens, and jokers and aces, while we barely have anything on our hand to play. It's a game of chess, and they're a couple steps ahead. I mean, I didn't figure this out, and this went into fruition. This plan went into fruition, or started, back in November. If we're just counting the coronavirus, they were counting 5G when China got 5G months before that it started. Then, so honestly, all I could tell to the Zionist elite is, well played. But this isn't the end. The people, if they find the truth, if they can at least find out the Zionists elite are the ones behind it all, if Israel is behind it all, which I know most of them know. Most people fucking know. They just don't want to accept it. And that's the problem, man. They can stop this. They can stop it. They just have to wake up and say no more. If you're an American watching this, protect your Second Amendment and protect your First Amendment. Protect those two pieces. Those two pieces are your key to freedom. There's a reason why they're the first two in the list of the first 10 amendments created. Our forefathers thought about this deeply. We have to take their minds and expand what they left. We have to simply create a country of freedom in America. Israel is trying to take us over. At this point, the best thing we can do is just not play the game, just not intervene with anything outside of our country. As for the people who are watching this and who live in Canada, UK, whatever, as for you people, I already said it before, stock up on canned food, stock up on water, stock up on anything you can think of that'll help you survive. Stock up on matches. That's one thing I didn't say. Stock up on matches, lighters, just be ready. If shit hits the fan, you better be prepared, you don't have to buy it. You don't need books. Just research it, search it up, find safe plants, native plants around your area you can find and eat or use, as herbs or something. Just be prepared. Just be prepared. I will try and speak more about this if I can, but chances are there's probably not much left to say, because if this is the plan, I don't know what else they have in store right now. This is just what I figured out right now. I don't know what else they could add to this. This plan is pretty fucking flawless, if you ask me. They have control over the left and the right in this plan, and the only flaw I see in their plan is just them running into China and running away from Israel, the ending of World War III, or the climax when they run there. I don't know how they're gonna avoid. They probably have an area in China somewhere that they know of that doesn't have 5G, so they'll go underground there. Now, granted, we can't check what those areas are because Google Maps is a rigged fucking site. Google Maps is completely fucking fake. Okay, that's another thing. We can't find out where those places are. The places Google Maps shows where, the places that show where 5G is in China are probably where it's not. So we really don't know. It's really a gamble and a game of guess who. It's gonna be like trying to find Waldo. You know, it's like playing Finding Waldo. Literally, it's gonna be hard to find them as you go on. Anyway, that's all. This is reaching up to 40 minutes, the raw recording, so on this coronavirus stuff. If there's anything else I figure out or think of, I'll probably do another extension video on this, like an echo of this one. But yeah, other than that, 369 Moncloe's Nation. Peace.
Did you read